Hi, everybody. My name is Rose Wilson, and I'm a business planning consultant that's working with CMAP on the FSIG 2023 grant applications. So we did a webinar last year on how to apply for the FSIG grants, and we're going to provide an update to that webinar with some changes to the application for this year. So I definitely encourage everybody to go look at our original webinar, which describes how to apply for this grant, what's important for this grant. And then in today's mini webinar, I'm just going to provide some key changes to the application that folks should be aware of. So the first update to the application is that for the 2023 round, you have a whole year to complete your project. So the applications, your projects are allowed to go through June 30th of 2024. And I'll show you that on the RFR. So you have up through June 30th of 2024 to complete the project, which is great. So it's several more months than you had in prior years. The second key change is that they've begun to classify projects by the type of applicant. So if you look on the page that describes examples of eligible projects by sector, we have a specific list of projects that farms are eligible for, which includes things like climate change related projects for drought, which we didn't used to have. So wells, things to provide a reliable water supply, and also planning, business planning and technical planning did not used to be part of the application form. You will note, and I found a bit of a discrepancy here, so I'll point it out. It also includes vehicles, but then when you go to the actual application form, I'm going to show you, this is what actually shows up on the application form. These are the drop-down list of actual items that they're looking to fund. And I actually don't see vehicles on there, and I also don't see business planning. So whether we should ask a question as to if business planning would fall under regional studies, or we just don't include those two items under this particular list. I would say generally my recommendation with grants is if they have a specific list, you're going to be more likely to be funded if your project falls within that specific list. So I do notice that there is a bit of a deviation between the list that they provide for farms in the RFR and then the list that actually shows up on the grant application itself. But my recommendation is review the two lists, and ideally you'll find a project within the farm list that also fits within their drop-down list. A second component to that is that this year the application pool will be expanded to include organizations that are interested in researching food insecurity projects. And so it just means that the competition for funds is going to be larger, and it's already been very competitive in the past. But the fact that they're now actually inviting competition for projects and research projects just means that the funds will be further more difficult to get. We also noticed that when folks were applying last year, there was a question on if you accept SNAP benefits, and some folks indicated that they accepted the HIP benefits. If you accept HIP benefits, technically you, I think, have to also be registered to accept SNAP because HIP is a program within SNAP. So definitely say yes, you accept SNAP, because it's not guaranteed that reviewers will understand what HIP is, but they will understand what SNAP is. So if you do accept HIP, note that you accept SNAP, and you should have a SNAP number. It will ask you for your SNAP number and include that. And then the second component that we found last year was for farms that are in APR. If you are in APR, definitely make sure that you've communicated with your contact at APR to make sure that your project has been given the go-ahead to proceed should you be awarded the funding, because there were questions as to whether projects that were going to happen on APR land had already received permitting, or whether that would make the timeline difficult. So as best as you can, include the information on your APR, and then in the project timeline, and I'll show you within the grant application itself, be very upfront and specific about the fact that you have communicated with your APR contact and you have received approval to move forward with the project, and indicate when that communication took place. So right here under project plan, please provide a task by task description. I would definitely include that has already happened and you've received that approval, because that had been one of the questions that came up by reviewers last year. Those are the key changes this year. So we're hoping that that's helpful. Go review the original webinar, and good luck with the grant. All right, bye-bye.